Three things I hated about my sermon this week, preaching on Jesus' surpassing perfection standard in Matthew 5:48, when he says, "Therefore you must be perfect as your Father in heaven is perfect." First thing I hated about my sermon was I may have implied that Jesus was a big fan of Platonic philosophy. I used this illustration of circles and forms and how the circles that we see are imperfect reflections of the absolute circleness that exists in the transcendent realm. I know people's eyes are glazing over. Sunday morning's not a time for philosophy. And the real clincher is when I was making the comparison between us and our Heavenly Father, I almost made it sound like Jesus was using Hellenistic philosophy to prove his point. Guess what? Jesus was a Jew, not a Greek philosopher. I wasn't trying to make that application. It was an imperfect illustration. Second thing I hated about my sermon was my handwriting. Look at this. Did a first grader write this? Talk about imperfect handwriting. Third thing I hated about my sermon is I'm not sure I clearly stressed the fact that this command to be perfect, as our Father in heaven is perfect, is about essence, not about action. It's about essence, who we are at our core, at our heart, with Jesus at the center. It's about essence, not activity. Nothing we can do will ever be perfect. But in our essence, in our identity, we can be if Jesus is at the core.